noise on my speakers, but is it? Oh, I saw the bar move there. So yeah, but we've got sound from the game. Okay, before I go too far here, this is going to be hopefully just a short little stream. Stuff. I realize that they only last for so long on Twitch before they go away. So maybe I'll export it to YouTube so I can, link it on my Discord page that I've created, so people in the future can still see reference to what I looking at here. I like to participate in some challenges. Oh, but since I mentioned my Discord page, why don't I go ahead and throw an invite on here? I really should make this an automated thing that comes on here occasionally, like I see on other channels for Twitch. But let's see, hold on. Inspiration Traders. Oh, come on. Oh, click here, invite people. Edit, invite link. Expire never. No limit. Generate a new link. Copy that over here. Okay. So this would be my own channel, Inspiration Traders and stuff. You're welcome to submit your stuff. Ideally eventually build a community here of people who visit and socialize. But I also, one of those things, maybe it's my personal peculiarity or whatever, but as eventually people get familiar with me, hopefully they'll get aware that for me, it's not about just promoting myself, but also promoting others and stuff. My goals eventually, some of my projects that I've been building in the game are based on being able to take other people's stuff and use them as well. A little inspiration happened to me, a little accident that's in one of the forums. I was working on a project with one of my stuff at the time, and they said, "Oh, well, that you built that to work with such and such as well." And I'm like, "No, I didn't." And so I was gonna take pictures and prove that it didn't fit. Turned out I was wrong. Well, initially the way I was thinking of it, I was right, it wouldn't fit. But then I'm like, well, what if I look at it at this different angle here? I'm like, oh no, it fits perfectly. And from there I was inspired to, I'm like, well, why don't I stop just thinking of my stuff to work with my stuff, make some of my stuff work with the other things as well. So use some other people's stuff, and so in this stuff, well, I like to participate in some of these build challenges stuff. We have the XCaliber's Anvil. They have some build challenges. I participated in a number of those. Some of my past participation, those I got removed from the workshop. They were in the alpha stages of the game, and some of the rules changed and stuff. And I like my stuff to be compliant with the rules as much as possible. So I admit some of those early submissions are not on the workshop. Some of them may reappear on the workshop, but not necessarily under their exactly the same as they originally were. But there are some of the current challenges that they are on the workshop. I just haven't necessarily marked that they're part of XCaliber's challenges and stuff. And on my page here, if I have so I have the come on. I have here a community hub Discord servers, so it's on my thing that invites, but I'm going to throw them here in the chat as well, which means I'm probably since I'm mentioning these things, when I get it exported over to YouTube, I'll have to probably take some time to put these links in there as well. But this is this I believe should be to an invite to the Anvil. So here, that would be to XCaliber's Anvil. Let me cover my mouse over there. XCaliber's Anvil. You can find some of the challenges there. They have a monthly challenge typically. So I'm going to make some reference to that. There's also ZeroG. Wait a minute. Go back to my page because I have the link. Here's stuff. As I said, there's a spot on my page where I link, the Discord servers, the stuff. So let's go ahead and put the. This would be for the ZeroG. ZeroG also runs typically a monthly challenge. There's usually the deadline for theirs is usually the 10th of the month. So it's there is some slightly differences in the scheduling of the challenges, but stuff. So these are the two challenges I typically participate in, is the ZeroG and the XCaliber Anvil. So here's what I'm looking at the moment, what I'm debating and stuff. Actually, this one right now here, this is really no debate for me. This is just a matter of, do I like the hull shape, do stuff. There are some things that I'm probably going to significantly change about this capital vessel here. The current challenge, if I go to his page, go down to the challenge brief. It is February design challenge, due February 25th, so I only have just a little over 2 weeks if I'm going to finish this and get it submitted. It has to be size class 4 or lower. Has to be within the CPU limits. No quantums or crew. The stuff can be vanilla or reforged Eden. And the stuff goes through, and what is it? Salvage and or cargo, micro salvage and or cargo CVs. Well, this I don't consider a micro salvage or cargo CV because I have smaller. Now it does have here our multi-tool turret, so it is capable of salvage. It is primarily though it's a mining and salvage CV. That's basically what it is. And so the interior is quite unfinished at the moment. Stuff there. Let's turn this back off so I can see my cursor. So there's a lot of work to go on in here. However, this is one of the ones I was thinking about converting or having a version that's vanilla, because a lot of my builds are primarily, I do my building for vanilla, but then I have a selection of my vessels that I've done. I've been looking at conversions for Reforged. So this is something I was thinking of doing both ways. While having experimented with Reforged, after becoming aware, because I was not aware of it initially, that Reforged handles some of the things have different explosion values and can chain in ways that where they would survive in vanilla, they may not. They may chain in ways I'm not used to in Reforged. So this I may have to experiment with the explosions in a Reforged creative scenario and see the stuff. Now I wasn't planning to leave it all pink like this. I did the painting in the pink primarily as a placeholder and as a mental note to myself. There will be pink in this thing. On the outside for sure, and probably leaking into the inside depending on how things work. Stuff. It could be in the fashion of hold on. Of the care, which I just finished up recently. So there's pink on the care. but it's other colors as well. So it could be in the manner of the care here. It could be in the, well, I'm going to just go here because I know what it is. I could do something like the Dream, the remake of the Dream, where it's pink and grays and stuff. So I may do it in that fashion. Oh, how lovely. Whatever the glitch is for that one, that it keeps spontaneously going up and then falling again. But it could be in the fashion of the Dream, where it's pinks and grays. Or it could end up being in the now the workshop version is still vanilla, raw blocks like that there, but I already started working on the care or the courage. No, yeah, this is the courage, and I want to say, is this the version I have on? I'm not sure. I thought I did it with. Maybe I did save it at another game over here elsewhere. I'm pretty sure it looked better with a pink and blue. A really dark blue. This happens to be pink and purple. But it gives you the idea where the pink and the blue would be here if you just kind of imagine that it's a dark blue instead of the purple. But in one of my other save games, where I do a bunch of my building and creative, I'm pretty sure that's a dark blue. I think I looked better. So there will be pink. There will be pink. But what am I doing with it? What colors am I going with it? For sure, I don't know yet. With only 2 weeks, it would take. I'd have to really refocus myself to get that done. These for your. These capital vessels over here, when I was the current ZeroG challenge that I actually just submitted the care to and stuff, I basically threw down into this game here and created this save to look at. These were the things I debated, working on, polishing, finishing, working to submit for that challenge, and I ended up, looking at these ones and deciding that the care was the one I really wanted to do. These were the other contenders that I was considering. This I ended up I was playing around with this capital vessel here. It was built prior to some of the changes to the game, and I've changed some of my systems, how I'm my system of what my vessel's dimension and stuff. And I was like, well, what if I change this vessel up a bit, based on some stuff, some of the differences. So, my current system, I could make it a bit longer, but I'd have to make it a bit narrower if I was going to make it comply with my current system. And so this I basically pulled, stretched, cut off bits, and I was like, well, this is what dimensions is playing. I'd have to play with, work with, and what you see here, I actually saved this. So I saved that other old, the previous, I renamed it the V.2020, the 2020 version of the incomplete project, unpolished. And then this is what I have saved, this cut and chopped up version here, because I was I was considering it for the roll. What was it? The challenge 12 for ZeroG was to make one that had role play elements in it. I wasn't putting the crew in here or anything for Reforged about CPU savings or anything like that with the crew. This actually has to do with I wanted to capture some of the role play elements. That this thing was built for the role play elements in the Star Cruiser, so I wanted some crew here. I wanted some people scattered throughout. And what it is kind of like you have some treatment rooms, various patient rooms, stuff. And let's see. I want to say, well, my chopping and cutting and pasting here, some things probably didn't translate quite across. So you had a room full of clone chamber, or not clone chambers, but the hibernation, the cryo chambers of what are they? Stasis, whatever they're called. But like the cryostasis. And here I was contemplating changing the layout of the rooms for a room for a level that would be the rooms, whether with the straight thing if I put the operating the treatment rooms before after this, or put this on one level, do another level differently. I wasn't sure, but I was like, okay, so if I can stretch it out, I can change the layouts, change some of the stuff. So I was just messing around with that on the top of that there. So I was just messing around. A bunch of this vessel, the interior is completely unfinished, so it's kind of those things. If I was going to make a role play stuff for that, so for that vessel, it might have been one of those things where I actually build out the interior and stuff. These two, I really debated going with these for the challenge, but although they have a bit of the roleplay elements, I didn't feel. It's one of those things. I will finish them up and I will polish them at some point, and they will probably not change much from what they are. But to submit them to a build challenge about the role play, that it feels like there was there was adequate crew rooms, stuff. Yes, I have a dining area, I have a lounge and that stuff. I have the engineering. I have some sleeping quarters and stuff. And stuff. But to me, it felt like it was the sleeping quarters and everything felt a little inadequate for this vessel. Similar for this over here. So I was like, okay, they come down a little inadequate. This one here, I thought this was undergoing complete refit. Well, this doesn't strike. Is this this doesn't? Maybe this is the refit vessel. Something about this. Maybe this is the refit vessel. I don't know. That's the goose. That's that. There's a redraft version 2. I didn't save those redrafts, but I didn't quite like how they were turning out. This is the 10.5. That is. I'd have to go launch wherever game I'm working on that one, because as I said, I just pulled this in here, here. I have to go pull that game and see if that really is, because I know I tried to redo it, and I really didn't like some of those things I was messing around with it, completely rebuilding it. So I went back more towards some of the original shapes, and that might be what this is. I think that is what this is. I would just have to go look at the other game to verify, but that's actually the rebuild. That's the redo of the goose. Okay. But for XCal's challenge, for the Anvil challenge, they're looking for a salvage, or they said a micro cargo vessel. I'm like, My interpretation of micro cargo vessel is actually this one I submitted to their a recent. Did I submit that one, or did I submit this one? Which one did I submit, or was it? Was it this one? That one's apparently not published, so it wasn't that one. So it was either this one, or it was this one. I don't remember which. But this is a cargo vessel designed for. No, yeah, it was. I think it was this one, or was it that one? I really don't remember which one I submitted to the challenge. But it's they talk about micro cargo vessel. This thing, the Pecan Tier 2, primary container 200,000, salvage and ores another 88,000. So, yes, it may not be the full 320,000 cargo systems people typically pull, and especially something that you're looking at this size. But part of the conditions I typically build is for 2.0 gravity. And so this vessel is rated to lift a filled cargo hold in 2.0 gravity. We set our standard a bit high, and you may find that this vessel can still fly in some gravity conditions higher than rated. So, according to some of the numbers I crunched, yeah, this will barely fly in 2.0 gravity with a full cargo hold. But that's based on filling it completely with refined sathium ingots. Just the raw ores, this thing will easily handle 4.0 gravity stuff. That's more of the extreme stuff. So yeah, but I can't remember which one I submitted to the challenge for XCaliber, for the Anvil. But yeah, it was one of those. So I'm really tempted to enter that as a salvage capital vessel. But the other thing is, I've been all these things with their jets running. I didn't notice earlier because I didn't have my headphones on. How noisy it was over here. Let's see. Yes. Let's come on. But the ZeroG challenge due March 10th. There's a part of me that since I've been how's the game? So I didn't catch that comment earlier. Have played in about a year. How's the game? It's taken a little to get used to the some of the changes, the CPU, and that's as Blue Max says, there's more end game content now. Okay. Goose has an interesting shape. Yes. Yes, the goose does have an interesting shape. I really wanted to build, and I've seen capital vessels that are more vertical than horizontal, and I wanted to do one for myself, and so I had actually grabbed a piece of graph paper and I brainstormed some ideas there, and from there, that's how the goose, the initial concept happened for the goose, and stuff. But these SVs were all prior to the. For those who've been playing a while, a long time, the larger thrusters, when you got into the medium and the large and the XLs, they were really, for their size, kind of bad. They weren't effective. It was more efficient to run several of the small jets, in that same space. Now the small jets would consume fuel and that stuff. But if we look over here, it's interesting. These two, the roles have reversed between these two over here. It used to be that this one over here, and you can tell that this was actually built before the guns were retractable. So it looks really weird right now. But at the time I built it, I recessed the weapons because they would not. Well, let's see. Turrets and weapons, turn them on. Okay. Originally, the weapons went all the way. That's all the time they were like that. So, that was the effect. Now they're retractable, so it can kind of look, it'd probably be a different design if I would have done it more recently. Granted, back then the medium jets were not as effective, and so this one here, the blue and the green one, and back then, your thrusters didn't result in any turning ability for your vessels. So thruster placement didn't matter for turning. The only way to get it to actually turn was to place RCS. So that thing has a bucket load of RCS in it. So the current ZeroG challenge is to build a maximum of tier 3, and a bunch of these are actually over CPU on tier 4, but with the changes to the jet engines, that the mediums and largers are actually effective. There's a distinct possibility that by the time I would strip out the RCS, so you wouldn't need the vessel to be as big. Being a big vessel, you wouldn't need it to be as big to have all those RCS, to have all those thrusters to try to move something this big. There's a distinct possibility it would actually shrink a bit, just simply pulling out the RCS, pulling out some of the thrusters that weren't needed, or that at least that they're more effective now that the weight would go down. The stuff is a distinct possibility. I might be able to get some of these down to tier 3 for the challenge. Rebuild, redesign some of these. But that one over there, the orange one, I was messing around with, and at the time it was a concept vessel that I didn't complete and put on the workshop. But it actually, with the small jets, actually outperformed the blue-green one. However, the revolts have, because of the way the things have been rebalanced, it actually has the crappy performance, and the blue-green one actually has decent performance. So I would reevaluate and look at things from there when I rebuild rebuilding these things. But I'm not going to rebuild all of these things for the challenge. If I'm going to build one, and it's kind of things I'm thinking I might end up missing the ZeroG challenge this month. I'm not sure. Because I do have small SVs that include warp. We can go here, pull the Sparrow. Sparrow, as it is on the workshop, is unpolished. it's functional, and it comes with warp stuff. Before CPU, the Sparrow, I believe, did it? I think it might have included a constructor. Does the original Sparrow include a constructor? Okay, it does. Does the remake here? I don't think, because the constructor, the small constructor uses quite a bit of CPU for its SV. I'm pretty sure I dropped the constructor. Just to say it, you make, because the priority for this vessel was warp. Go out, gather warp and materials. The thing is, it says as a mini base, as the SV for a mini base, CPU limit tier 3. So this is a CPU limit. This can be upgraded to tier 3, but I want to say that it is currently a tier 2. You would upgrade it. This is slots prepared, one over here, one over there. Tier 3, because it has the space that you can add a shield generator. So you can, take it to that next level, add a shield generator, make it a little tougher than it initially starts off. But if I'm looking at something with tier 3, well, it doesn't say it has to be up to tier 3. But when you start talking about a mini base, one of the things I look at that case is a mini base. I want some sort of constructor that can process the ores. At least that's in my mind. I think mini base, it's got to at least be able to process the ores. Now, maybe I could go with the idea that, yes, I'm using an SV like this, but I'm using my portable constructors. But that's kind of, and yes, I might do that process, because I have used my portable constructor to process my ores, to stick it in the container here, so I actually can get more ores transported with my SV, just simply by processing some of the ones I can with a portable constructor. But I'm thinking, if I'm really kind of, if I'm not just trying to really bend the rules and the stuff, I'm like, I probably need a mini constructor, or a small constructor in the SV, to process some of the ores that can't be processed by your portable constructor, really kind of taking you to the next level, being a mini base that it can actually, I can produce some of my I'd have to review small constructor. Yeah, you can do some of your foods, your medicines, and that stuff. So that's what I thought. Yeah, I currently don't. I typically, what I'll do is an SV like this one, the Sparrow. In fact, this on my recent playthrough, I have a version of the Sparrow designed for Reforged, and then I have the upgraded version of it here and stuff. But the Sparrow, I've used it on the in my play, or if I'm going even further back, I have another one I call the Swallow stuff, and that's also in the workshop. But that's how I typically roll. I will go out. I'll get the basically I warp to another planet, go mine the ores. As I said, this one I might bring along a portable constructor to process some of the ores that I get there that the portable constructor can't. But typically, I'm grabbing some of the ores that are not available on the starter planet, and quite often those are not necessarily processed. Not necessarily can be processed by the portable constructor. but then I'm traveling back to my planet that has a small base or somewhere where I then process those ores. But in this case, they said a mini, like a mini base. So to me, that sounds like you're not necessarily, you don't have to return back to some other central base. So yeah. So I start looking at a larger SV. This one, the irony as I talk about stuff, there'd be a part of a partial temptation to use this one as the base, as a portable base, rebuild this one. Of course, and then it's going to be a real challenge to get this. As I said, a lot of this here is RCS. There's 35,000 CPU in RCS. Granted, we're over tier 4, but as I start pulling those things out, we bring down our CPU a bit. I have 10. Even though at the back of the time this thing was created, it was not practical because we didn't have logistics and that sort of stuff. It wasn't quite the same thing. But this was a mobile construction facility that relied on the SV mobile constructors at the time. So yeah, they'd be part of me tempted to try to rebuild this, probably build from scratch, inspired by this stuff, because I can probably, as I'm pulling some of the stuff out, it's probably going to shrink a bit. I'm not sure how much, but it probably would end up shrinking a bit because it doesn't need all that space for all those RCS in there. Stuff. Current statistics, as it gets lighter, the numbers are going to go up. Granted, I'd have to allow for the cargo system that would probably be involved in that. I may reevaluate having equal thrust in all directions, so I might have reduced side thrust, reduced reverse thrust, primarily focusing on down and back. That's going to save me some CPU, save me some weight, stuff. It's a possibility. It's not a sure thing. And I could leave the weapons more of an upgrade options instead of having them integrated. I don't know. But it's possible. I could possibly get that down to tier 3, upgraded, built to be upgraded tier 4. So it's one of those things. It's a food for thought, consideration. Then we have this here. Again, it was built when the media. I almost never use it. Yeah. Back then, it took. As I said, back then, your thrusters did not turn the thing at all. The only way to turn when this thing was built was RCS. It has 79 RCS on it. Now I could probably strip almost all of them out and probably still have something that turns nicely. Be my guess. I haven't tested that yet, but that'd be my guess. I could probably strip them all out without suffering, Again, this is a prototyping I was built. Again, we have a bunch of RCS, only 12 on this thing because it was smaller at the time. Yeah, well, it's still smaller too. So I could get away with fewer. But we're looking at, something that it wasn't built to be a heavy lifter, but now it could lift 318 tons, which might have some benefits for stuff. For a mobile base. Let's see. Currently, it is at 83,000 CPU. I'd have to figure out how to get it down. What sort of choices I'd make to get it down to under 40,000. It's 40,000 for tier 3, right? Yeah, 40,000. So right now, but again, if I build it to be upgradable, so that I'd upgrade it up to something like the tier 4. So Here is another. Again, all these are all built before jets were actually, the larger jets were actually practical. So a bunch of them could probably be completely evaluated. This one had 40 RCS. I could probably strip them all out and stuff. So currently CPU is 80,000. So by the time I strip them out, reevaluate where things are at that point. This one of these ones, this one actually was built. Now, granted, we can only put 6 minigun turrets on an SV, unless you're talking about reforged stuff. But the vanilla game, you can only put the 6 minigun turrets on this stuff, and that's what I last recall. SV weapons, only minigun turrets, and only 6 of maximum allowed 6, legitimately. Now, granted, I have spots for on each side 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you place one up here, potentially 11 turrets that way. I'm not sure. I was thinking of putting any turrets on the sides or not on this thing. I think it's just mostly the turrets on the top. And some spots underneath for some turrets as well. So this thing was designed to hold a whole bunch of turrets on it. I didn't know if we were going to get turrets for SVs at the time. It was kind of the wishful thinking. So it might be one of those things, do I look at this and do I remodel this and renovate this for this stuff? Now this, among my SVs, this actually is the one that actually was built for a bunch of passengers. It was built to be tough, to take a bit of a beating, but it was built for multiple passengers. The forward cockpit, a lot of this isn't finished, but you'd have your pilot seat here, and I was actually going to build another pilot seat. I'm not sure if I was. This doesn't look like it was going to. This. It was probably going to be back here a little bit further. So it'll still be forward in the vessel, but it was going to be, and you'd have the one here and then one a little bit further back, so that at least the first part of the front end could be blown off and it'd still be flyable. So, and then this, as I said, back then, your medium and large jets weren't that efficient, weren't that effective for lift. But I had decided it didn't look right to just put a whole bunch of small jets there, and so look better with this. But I was building this as a heavy lifter stuff. However, and you can see the old cargo boxes here. We didn't have the current container system yet. So I built it on the idea as a heavy lifter to demonstrate that a small vessel could carry an agreeable amount of tonnage. But with the current systems, this would be a complete rethink on some of the stuff. It's closest of these ones here to the 40,000, and I would be pulling some stuff off of this if I were to bring this one, use this one for the challenge, this stuff. But as it is right now, it supposedly can lift 1.86 kilotons. That's a small capital vessel. I mean, this thing, and this thing, if I revisit this one and remodel this, this might be an interesting conversion stuff. And what would I do? No, there are thoughts for that stuff. This would also be, if I do bring this one stuff, I'd probably throw some turrets on it, which wasn't originally part of its original concept. But when you talk about a mobile base, it strikes me that I'd have some turrets for defense against predators and troops and whatnot. So these are the SVs I'm debating between. I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. The stuff. Feedback is welcome. And stuff. As I will, let's see if I go back here, if I copy here to the invite to Inspiration Traders, and one of the channels there, I've posted pictures of these, and as I said, feedback is welcome as I try to. This one, since I have till March 10th to do something with these, I have a little more time. Granted, considering how much work is probably involved with some of these, I probably, if I end up choosing to go with one of these here, I'm probably going to, between the motivation and the two skimmers over here, the bigger ones, I'd probably need to get starters sooner than I would for the Red Darner or the Eagle. So it's so I'll need to make up my mind there. And as I said, yeah. And yes, I know the goose over here. I did not end up choosing that for my because I already submitted my entry, and this is nowhere near, not something I'm going to pull off here tonight. Getting it ready and submitted for the RP elements, but it will be at some point. I would like to finish the goose. It just I like the way it turned out. I like the shaping that it ended up happening with that. It was just I liked making myself try something different, and the way it turned out. So but that's granted, that's part of how some of these things turn out. I just challenged myself, and something different, completely different happened. That is actually here with the perspiration. Originally I was planning to do the perspiration as a kind of like a sideways wide capital vessel, but then when I was experimenting with arrangements of the because the original concept I was thinking I'd do the mining turrets on it, but then having experimented with actually used the mining lasers for the capital vessels, that's I found I liked that very much. And so then I experimented with arrangements of those lasers, and so I liked this arrangement. I had a few different arrangements I liked, but this one, I chose this one and made it a feature of this capital vessel. Well, in that case, then I used the original.
That looks like candy.
It looks like candy, you think?
Yes.
Well, I will probably add some other color to eventually. I'll probably add some gray or purple or white. You like the purple?
Yes. I like the purple.
Mm.
The pink ship is big though.
It is not my biggest ship, but it
It is
is.
not your biggest ship. I know you have a bigger ship,
Mm-hmm.
but it is big.
Yes, it is. It is much bigger than most of these other ships. Yes.
But it's not your biggest ship.
Mm-hmm.
Good night, Dad.
Good night, Ruth. Yep. But no, actually, that is. It's inspired by the root of the. So a bunch of this hull is that sideways vessel translated into this to this more traditional looking vessel, or well, kinda. It does taking the one that was built to be sideways and integrating into this. I think gives it a whole new interesting shape, which I think I will keep. So it's rotated. Let's see, the perspiration, which was just a hull, but it was I had like some of my stuff. It was I would do concepts. So I would do like this is a concept hull. So this is actually the original hull I put together. It doesn't have any thrusters yet. I hadn't worked out any of that, but this is the original hull of the perspiration. And some of these points that will be suitable for turrets, I was planning to put the mining turrets, the stuff. But then I found, as I said, I really liked the mining lasers for the capital vessels, and so I took this vessel, and you might be able to see some of the shapes translating in across. So I took that vessel and then I rebuilt it essentially so that this, instead of being the side, became the front. And yeah, so yeah, I took my original concept, rotated it, and started making changes to it to make it into a very different vessel. It's kind of like the, if I were to talk about the Nightjar. Okay. Let's see. I saved this. Granted, here at this point, it's like this. But if you look in the little capture here, it's sitting on its side. And what happened is I got destroyed in Reforged. And at the time, I didn't realize that the explosions were so significantly different and stuff. So, this stuff. I got wrecked real bad in Reforged. Lost the back end of it. I went, but my cargo was untouched. That was the fun part. My cargo was untouched. So I went back, retrieved the capital vessel. I pulled like a couple thrusters off of it that were pointed. I can't remember which way they were pointed. Let's spawn this because I blueprinted the wreck. Because after I saw the Nightjar on the side, like you can kind of see it in the. Well, it's tiny probably when you're viewing it here, but it was on its side. Because when I crashed on the planet, at that point, yeah, I had some braking thrusters, but I'd stripped out these two downward-facing thrusters to give me my forward thrust, so I could achieve warp. Because I brought myself a generator when I went out, so I took an SV out here, uh, threw a generator on, I had enough. I threw the generator on, threw the so threw a generator, threw a core on, and then the large constructor was intact. So I was actually able to use as I said, cargo was untouched. The cargo was intact. So with the large constructor and that stuff, I was able to build myself a warp drive, and then get myself salvage all my cargo because I had sweet cargo in there. I had been mining nice ores, and it's like I didn't want to lose it. Well, when I made my approach on the planet where I had my base, without any thrusters to turn the thing, it was basically the way I came into the planet was determined the way I was going to land, and the thing. Let's see. I want to say I landed on one side, and did a it flipped over, and I thought it was going to end up continue the roll, and I can't remember if it was gonna that would have put it right side up or what it was, but it was basically it landed on one side, but it wasn't kind of crashed on the one side, did a roll because the stuff, and then it ended up settling on its side, and seeing it there as I was looking at my just right there by my base on its side. I'm like, especially since I've done with the goose over there, I'm like, well, it'll take a bit of work, but that might be inspiration. So what happened to this will probably be inspiration for a future small capital vessel that'll actually be aligned vertically instead of horizontally. So, I'm not sure how much it'll look like the battle damage track. Probably not a whole lot, but it will certainly take some of the inspiration from that. Oh, the fun part was, although I couldn't, I lacked the controls to properly land it. These two thrusters there were enough spaced enough that aligned correctly, offset like they are, that I was able to get some minimal steering as I approached the planet. So I was able to get it up to warp speed, jump back to my system, and approach the planet. I was able to do. I couldn't spin it, so I couldn't spin it to get the right orientation, but I could actually at least turn it, turn the vessel. So, yeah. Well, that was it was interesting, and as I said, I kept all the cargo, all those precious ores, other than what I used to make a new warp drive. But yeah, and I wasn't going to hang out there in that system much longer, lest I be rediscovered and eat it. Although I think I probably killed the drones and whatnot with the SV I had with me. I think I got those, but since drones and that stuff can respawn, I didn't want to hang out there more than I had to. Okay, well, I've been playing a lot of World of Warships lately, and I would like to work on earning a couple more slots. Well, for the month, I've already earned the one free slot I can earn easily for the month. So there's one more free slot I would like to earn this month to continue on my objective, what I'm doing with World of Warships and stuff. So I will probably call that here good for the moment, as I now have these things lined up for me to contemplate and think about the SVs over there. And as I said, I created this game and I just threw a bunch of stuff in there as I contemplated stuff. But this one, I can tell you why I'm going with this this salvage vessel for the challenge and stuff. Yeah, I could say, oh, I'll resubmit this, and I'm sure well, I'm pretty sure they'd at least say that looks familiar, because I've already submitted this one of the, as I said, I can't remember which one I was submitted, but I'm pretty sure they're going to pick out that that is familiar for the capital vessel. But it's actually one of his challenges I submitted. Well, come on. What did I call it? It's not begin. It's not faith. I don't think it's the faith. No, faith is the mining vessel that I used to be HV. I converted to SV. Oh, improve. Yep, that's my. And when he was doing his challenge, he made a comment about the pink, and that if his daughter saw that, and after he's, granted, apparently she wasn't watching that stream. That's why if she had seen that, she would, really, apparently she really likes pink. I'm like, well, I had already decided that this was going to get pink because it's part of a collection that they won't all have pink necessarily, but if they don't have pink, they're probably going to have purple, some sort of shade of purple. So this is part of that series, fits in that theme. And so I was like, well, if I'm going to choose, I could either do purple or pink. And I made them, I just threw pink on there and I said, that's what it's going to be. So when I didn't know that he was going to come out with a challenge looking for a small cargo vessel. Granted, his definition of small is like size limit 4, class 4. And I'm like, considering this is the CPU tier statistics, size class 1 currently. Granted, it'll probably bump up to 2, maybe 3 by the time I do the interior work, because I'll be adding and stuff. But yeah, makes sense to stick to the color theme. Yeah, you'll find that the Pekin here, there's a reason that I've base coated this one blue stuff, even though it's got a very different shape. It is a cargo vessel, just like the Pekin is. So that series is blues and blacks and grays for the exterior colors and stuff. These over here, you notice there's greens, a lot of greens in the stuff, which this one over here is a bunch of greens. Now these ones are made out of plastic to save on weight. Mostly, even though they're marked to have plenty of turrets added to them, so they will have potentially decent combat capabilities. They just won't be built to take out a hit other than shielding. But these are more about delivering tanks and stuff, and that's why they're built light, so that the emphasis goes on them being able to lift stuff, as opposed to to lift heavy things. And they probably would have been built with a heavier material still, if it wasn't the fact that I accidentally found out they fit. I did not build them to carry my carry-on series, but it turns out these fit in those cargo holds. And these, if they're filled with cargo, they're not that heavy themselves, but if they're filled with cargo, they would get heavy. and that's why those things ended up being built light with plenty of lift capacity, because they might end up lifting something very heavy. Okay. Yeah, I do try to, I've been trying to stick to some color themes. And some of the colors I've chosen, green doesn't push me a whole lot. I enjoy it. The blues aren't, I don't think, really push. This one I decided I needed something to push me. That's why I chose pinks and purples. Like, push my envelope, push my comfort zone. Yeah, I want to say I do have a pink shirt. I'm not sure. I think I do. No, I have a pink tie. I have a pink tie. I actually have two pink ties. I don't think I have a pink shirt. Maybe I do have a pink shirt. Maybe I did have a pink shirt. I don't know. There was a time when years ago, I wouldn't even consider it a pink shirt. But here in this case, I am pushing myself on my, can I make pink work? And how do I make it work? In this case, I mixed it with purples and whites, breaking this vessel up into into segments this way, and I think it works nicely.
Dad, I'm pretty sure you do have a pink shirt.
My daughter says I have a pink shirt, and she's probably right.
Either that or you used to have one.
Yes. I either have one or I used to have one. Yep. That's probably very much right.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm interrupting.
Oh, no big deal. I keep telling myself I'm going to move on, and then I keep rambling. Yes, I believe, let's see.
Okay, Dad, I have a quick question. Is this like a live stream or?
Yes, it is a live stream.
Oh, shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Now I feel kind of bad for interrupting.
Oh, I have no problem with
It's
vibrant
not
colors.
Like you can
Stuff like
record it.
this. Oh, it says creator DP Burke 2, but I'm pretty sure that I seem to recall someone took the nightjar and made some interesting modifications to it. Oh, that is the.
I hear modifications and I get kind of nervous.
I thought I subscribed to both of them. Or. No, that's not it. That's my reforged one. Oh. Well, I know I've bookmarked them and I've looked at them. But yeah. And I know I've probably written this somewhere, but stuff like this is the best compliment any of my builds has ever received. This right here, despite whatever XCal may have said about some of my builds and his stuff, and he's got when he does his stream and he reviews the Builder Challenge, he says nice stuff about everybody's builds, which is good. I think that if I could eventually get to his skill level on that, that's great.
Constructive criticism.
Yeah. But yeah, he despite whatever good stuff he's said about himself, and some of the things that you get really thrilled about, but I'd still think seeing this here that is the best compliment any of my builds has ever received. So, okay. Well, as I said, I want to get in some World of Warships, see if I can work towards getting my other free slot. This stuff. and have a good night.